Hello everybody and welcome to OmniPoke, the channel that brings you guys everything Pokemon. I'm Jack and today I'm here with another standard deck analysis for you guys. We've started heading back into standard now that the ladder's updated and PTCG is all updated for the 2018 format. So we are going to be pumping out a lot of standard decks over the next few days. We've also got some discussion videos coming up as well. But as you can see, we are indeed looking at the Frog Prince himself, Greninja, today. A deck that I initially didn't fully write off as soon as we heard about rotation, but the deck did lose a lot. It lost Dive Ball, Level Ball, Repeat Ball, Rough Seas. All of these cards were kind of important to Greninja, so I really thought Greninja may have had its day, but it turns out after a League Cup this weekend playing a list that's crazier than this, turning that back and kind of looking for a more standard list, this may still be a really good archetype in the new format. It looks like we're seeing a bit of a rock paper scissors format, at least into the initial first couple of weeks, with Guardy beating Volt, which beats Metagross, which beats Guardy. So as you can see, there's the rock paper scissors kind of triangle there. Greninja has good matchups against all of those. So having good matchups against three very popular decks is going to be really good. Plus Greninja inherently is a deck that can win games it shouldn't be favoured in if it does get set up. So as always, the problem, as you can see, one of the weaknesses, inconsistencies, the problem with Greninja will always be, can it get set up? But we've tried to optimise the list as much as possible to try and make sure we can indeed get this deck set up and running as frequently as possible. I'll go over the League Cup a little bit later on when we're perhaps playing some games. But for now, let's jump straight into the list, starting with indeed 4 Froakie. We've got a 4-4-4-3 line. Not playing Talonflame in here right now. Talonflame takes up 4 slots, and since even though we don't have things like Level Ball and Ultra Ball and Dive Ball, sorry, I think just going full consistency is a little bit better. So as you can see, we have got 4 Froakie, of course. Bubble can sometimes bail you out. It's never the attack you want to be using, but it can buy you turns, it can win you games, it can deck your opponent out. So worth noting, we do still have access to Bubble. For Frogadier, of course, the whole engine is focused around this Water Duplicates attack. You want to be Water Duplicating on turn 2 as often as possible. Searching for 3 Frogadier, putting them straight onto the bench, meaning that this isn't as much a stage 3 deck with the break, but a normal stage 2 deck. And if you're not getting breaks out immediately, it's only a stage 1 deck. That's the kind of the cheaty engine that we go for in Greninja. So we want to be optimizing the list to try and get turn 2 Frogadier Water Duplicates as much as possible. For Greninja, 2 very solid attacks. 130 HP is really strong, especially when you're able to get multiple out in a few turns, especially for 1 prize. One of the things in the fact file you can see there is the fact that it's completely non-EX focused, meaning that we're often up trading, and that's really what Greninja wants to do. It wants to be seeing these, it wants to see low HP basics and EX and GX Pokemon, because Greninja's really good at taking down threats before they become threats, and then dealing with these strong 2 prize Pokemon, whilst Greninja still has a pretty awkward number to deal with in the break, having 170 and only giving up 1 prize. So you really want to be looking for up trades with this deck. First attack, Shadow Stitching for 40 damage. Ability locks your opponent, doesn't affect your own board, but it does ability lock your opponent. This can actually be really important. This is how we win things like Gardevoir, things like Metagross, even to an extent things like Volk. You want to be able to Shadow Stitching them so they can't ramp their energy on, in the case of Gardevoir and Metagross, meaning that because you've only got 1 energy on Greninja and it's got 170 HP, your opponent needs to attach 5 energy to a Gardevoir to be able to one-shot your Greninjas, which is really difficult when they can't ramp their own energy on. They can just go Fairy, DC, DCE, which is the ideal setup for them, but that's the easiest they can do it. There's no way they can't use Choice Band because we're not an EX or GX. So being able to Shadow Stitching them and force manual attachments out of them can actually mean that we get multiple turns from our Greninjas. And then against Metagross, again, their attack is 3 energy, and it doesn't even a one-shot or break. So we want to be able to Shadow Stitching them to force them to not be able to continually chain attacks to start knocking out or two-shotting our breaks. even though that again is a really favourable trade a lot of the time. They do have 250 HP and max potions as well, so it means that it's very unlikely that we're going to be able to one-shot them. So against Metagross we also have to take 2 shots, but we want to be able to. So if we can slow them down by Shadow Stitching, it's really good. Plus, in general, stopping things like Lele's, stopping people drawing from Octillery, stopping people drawing from Oranguru. It's just a really strong, nice option to have ability lock. And in certain games, you won't use any other attack other than Water Duplicates and Shadow Stitching, and maybe a Moonlight Slash to round the game out. But for the majority, or for some matchups, the majority of the game, you're just going to be announcing this attack here. And then his second attack, Moonlight Slash for 1 water, does 60, and if you return the water to hand, you do an extra 20, so that's 80. With a Choice Band, that's 110, and with 1 Giant Water Shuriken from the break, that's one-shotting a Lele. And that's a really important number to be able to do. It means you can close out a game in a turn from nowhere as long as you have access to 2 energy. And as you can see in the back here, we are running Starmie, so you can definitely get access to these 2 energy, provided you have Starmie out and your abilities online. So it means you can actually close games out really quickly. We are also running 1 Guzma, which I'll get into in a little bit, meaning that you can actually just completely steal the game from an opponent that wasn't even expecting it, because you're able to Guzma as well. So yeah, this number, whilst it seems kind of weird, 60, 80, 110, they all kind of seem like weird numbers. Meaning you can actually hit 170 in a turn with a single Greninja, can, as I say, close out games, which is really strong. And then, of course, we are indeed running 3 of the break. I wish they turned these around. I wish they made these horizontal. Giant Water Shuriken, letting you discard a water from your hand if you're in the active position, and then put 6 counters on your board, on your opponent's board, on one of your opponent's Pokemon. This is really good for taking out things like Beldums, things like Routes, things like Vulpixes, to just start cleaning up sort of other attackers they're starting to set up. If your opponent can't bench 2 Routes at once, you can start pinging the Routes off whilst just Shadow Stitching the active, so they can never set up a second Gardevoir. It's just a really strong ability to have. Plus, again, it means you can really uptrade with things like Shadow Stitching as well. Shadow Stitching plus 2 of the Giant Water Shurikens does 190, so again, provided you have the Choice Band on, so again, you are able to one-shot EXs whilst still Shadow Stitching, one-shot basic EXs and GXs whilst you're still Shadow Stitching. So that's really useful to have, especially with access to Giant Water Shuriken. Next up, we do indeed have a 1/1 Starmie line. The Staryu we're using is indeed the free retreat one. The 40 HP doesn't really matter anymore now. Decidueye isn't really relevant anymore. It's no different to having any amount. Of course, it is weak to grass, but there's nothing that wouldn't get one shot by something like a Bulu anyway. So it doesn't matter that this isn't. Well, the 40 HP is kind of irrelevant. Just having the free retreat is the main thing. And then, of course, we are running 1 Starmie from Evolutions. This ability, Space Beacon. Once during your turn, you may discard a card from hand. If you do, put 2 basic energy cards from your discard into your hand. So this is really good for when you're starting to discard and get into the cycle of discarding multiple water energy with Giant Water Shurikens each turn. Being able to just discard a dead card from hand, maybe a Brooklet Hill, maybe a Lillie. As you can see, we're playing Lillie in here, and in the late turns, maybe you want to be Enning or Sycamoring instead. We're not getting as much value from Lillie, so you can discard those. You know, that kind of thing. You just discard things that you don't want to be end back into your deck to draw into in the late game when you want to be finding pretty much more energy. You can get these out of the hand and then still grab 2 energy for attachments and Giant Water Shurikens and that kind of thing as well. So it's really synergistic. Also, having free retreat in the early turns is really important to be able to get into these Froakies as much as possible. And then finally, we have indeed got 1 Alolan Vulpix in here, pretty much solely for this beacon. The idea is, and hopefully I'll be able to demonstrate it in a game later on, your first main attack is going to be Water Duplicates. This Frogadier is likely to go down. That's when you want to send up Vulpix and Beacon. If you don't have access to more Ball Search cards, which you kind of don't anymore, we're running Vulpix to try and make up for the fact we don't have Level Ball, we don't have Dive Ball, that kind of thing. Mainly Dive Ball. So yeah, you Water Duplicates for 3 Frogs onto the bench. This Frogadier goes down. You then send up Vulpix and Beacon for 2 Greninjas or Greninja Breaks or Starmie, Staryu, that kind of thing. and just start setting up that way. I mean, if you have access to the Greninjas, great. It's sometimes better to just go straight for the Shadow Stitching. But in a matchup where Shadow Stitching maybe isn't too relevant and you're able to slow roll a turn, Vulpix is really, really good for just setting up, making sure you can set up, forces ends out of people as well, and if they're ending, they're not Guzmaing your Frogadiers, that kind of thing. So yeah, it's a really, really interesting card. It's not one that you'll always use in every matchup, but in certain matchups, you definitely have the time to be able to beacon for your Greninja pieces. Next up, onto the trainers, we're running 2 Evosoda. Evosoda is really, really good for getting the turn 2 Frogadier sort of as much as possible. We're running 4 Ultra Ball as well, so we're running a lot of cards. We're still running 6 cards that can search out the Frogadier, plus 4 physical Frogadiers themselves. So we've got 10 outs to actually finding the Frogadier before turn 2, which is really, really good. Plus all of these supporters, of course, but just guaranteeing things like Timer Ball. You have to flip coins. Sometimes you will get the double tails, and you won't be able to you won't be able to search for the Frogadier and use water duplicate. So just guaranteeing the Frogadier is really, really strong. There's nothing that it really gets around, but it's just nice being able to, when you see that card, being able to know it's a guaranteed Frogadier ready for turn 2 water duplicates, which is really, really good. Running 3 Field Blower. I think this is kind of the minimum you have to run at the moment. Garbodor is still definitely relevant. There's still a lot of Golisopod Garb, and that is definitely a difficult matchup anyway, I think. Or it can be if they have, if they're able to get item lock, ability lock plus Golisopod set up like very efficiently. It can be a very difficult matchup, and it's not one I would enjoy playing, I don't think. So being able to deal with Garb is really, really important. Also gets rid of things like Fighting Fury Belt for basic EXs and GXs that are sort of attaching Fury Belts to get out of range of you one-shotting them. You're able to either Field Blower then still one-shot them, or set up a one-shot for when, or set up a 2-prize attack for when, or taking 2 prizes for when you do eventually draw into Field Blower. So again, it's really, really good. And yeah, I think the main two things are things like Float Stones on Garbs and Fighting Fury Belts. We don't want to see those. We want to be up trading, and we always want our abilities online. The whole deck pretty much revolves around having this ability online, so I want to be able to deal with Garb as much as possible. Running 3 Rescue Stretcher. Really, really versatile card. It means you can, once a Greninja goes down, you're going to have a lot of different levels of Greninja on the bench. You may have a Froakie, a Frogadier, and a Greninja all on the bench. You can just grab whichever piece of the Greninja line you need from the discard if you haven't been able to splash energy it back into hand, and carry on sort of in this Greninja cycle to be able to just keep applying pressure. So yeah, it's a really, really nice card, and of course you can shuffle 3 in if you're perhaps behind on prizes, or behind on being able to set up multiple, or maybe have to discard Frogadiers early, things like that. Just a really, really versatile card. 4 Ultra Ball, as I mentioned with the Evosoda, we want to have maximum outs to finding this Frogadier. Again, we don't mind discarding water energy as well in this deck, because we can always space beacon it back later. So we just need to make sure we have lots of outs to finding our Pokemon in here. Like 3 Brooklet Hill is again essentially the same thing. This deck can lose to, if it goes first against Tapu Bulu, it can just lose because Froakie and Staryu are both weak to grass. So we do indeed want to be able to use Brooklet Hill to find a second basic, so we don't get benched on the first turn. Having 3 also means that we can get Staryu early for things like Ninetales that would snipe it off in the late once they've set up. Want to be able to evolve into Staryu before it can be sniped off. Also means we can search for Vulpix early as well, so we don't have to waste a ball search card on that. Means that we can use all of our ball search cards on these evolution Pokemon. Onto supporters, we've got 1 Guzma. Guzma's really nice for stalling whilst Shadow Stitching / Giant Ball Shurikening the bench. It's really, really good for that. It's also really, really good for actually getting 3 Giant Ball Shurikens in a turn. If you have 3 breaks up, you can Shuriken with the first one, retreat into the second one, and then Guzma into the third one, and actually get 180 damage through abilities off before even announcing an attack. So this is going to be another thing that we can do to be able to deal with some of these higher HP Pokemon, things like Metagross and stuff. You can actually reach that one-shot mark on a Metagross if you have 3 breaks out. You need to use all three and then have a choice band or bounce the energy back with Moonlight Slash to be able to one-shot a Metagross. And we can only do it once, playing only one Guzma. But if you are able to find that combo, it is worth noting that you can use 3 Water Shurikens in a turn. Next up we have 4 Lillie. This is probably one of the more questionable cards in the deck, but after playing it this weekend, really strong card. A lot of the time you're not doing much on your first turn. You don't want to be Sycamoring because you have things like Frogadier in hand and you don't want to discard them. Again, you don't want to be Enning because you have Frogadier in hand. So just drawing in the early turn, on the first turn, you are going to be drawing 3 to 4 cards, which is really nice, whilst maintaining or guaranteeing that you have access to the Frogadier the next turn, which is really nice. Discard fodder in the late game as well. It's not as strong in the late game. That's when you want to be ending your opponent down to low hand sizes, plus Shadow Stitching. So you can use Lilies to then use discard with Space Beacon to start using more Giant Wall Shurikens, which again, like I say, is kind of the only thing the deck really wants, is access to energy. And then of course, 4N, 4 Sycamore. We want to have access to supporters as much as possible. This deck can just lose to having really cruddy hands. So just having access to lots of supporters to make sure we can draw cards and get into our engine is just the most important thing. And then finally, 3 Choice Band. Again, as I've been saying, this deck really wants to uptrade. You can hit some really interesting and nice numbers with Shadow Stitching and Moonlight Slash plus a Choice Band. So you want to be able to uptrade against EXs and GXs a lot of the time. So just having access to 3 Choice Band is really strong. Having 3 means that you can get double Field Blowered as well and still have an out to a Choice Band later on in the game if you have to attach 2 rather than Sycamore them away or things like that. So having 3 is a really nice number, and it means that you don't have to stagger them as much because you can always have access to 1 more after a Field Blower. And then finally we have indeed got 4 Splash and 7 Water. This is quite a high count for Greninja as of late, but I think due to not having things like VS Seeker, now have a Fisherman in here, we don't have Energy Retrieval in here or anything like that. We want this high count. This deck, all it wants to see is turn 2 duplicates and energy. That's if this deck can get turn 2 duplicates into its evolutions and see energy, it will win games that it shouldn't win games, that it shouldn't normally win, because of this insane tempo swing with Giant Water Shuriken plus the ability lock. So just having access to these energies is the most important thing. 4 Splash means that we can carry on cycling the Greninjas as well, which is really important. You don't want to be losing to your opponent knocking out a Greninja and you not being able to find another break to carry on Shurikening. So being able to get the whole line back into the hand is just insanely strong. There's not much E-Hammer going around. Dramp has definitely dropped off the radar for a lot of people. So you're very rarely punished for running Splash Energy as well, which is really nice. Onto a couple of tech decisions. Pokemon-wise, there's not too many techs. I've seen some people play Octillery. Personally, I think Starmie is better because it guarantees being able to recycle your energy. As I mentioned, you can indeed play Talonflame. Oh, I'm still on capitals. You can indeed play Talonflame. I've personally never been a huge fan of the Talonflame build anyway, but I don't think it's right in general anyway, because you're going to need 4 slots for Talonflame. So 1 Greninja and 1 Vulpix, that's 2. But then you're going to have to take... None of these cards I really look at and want to discard or want to get rid of, because they're all, I think, really important. Maybe a Stretcher or something. Maybe an Evosoda because you can search out the Frogadier. So I'm not personally a huge fan of Talonflame. Oh, I've been logged off. I'm not a huge fan of Talonflame, but you could probably argue for finding slots in there because you don't have things like Level Ball and Dive Ball anymore. But I think it is more of a hindrance. You'd rather just have 4 Froakie to guarantee getting 2 on the board. And once you've got these 2 on the board, you're more likely to be able to get into this water duplicates. Again, with people running 3 to 4 Guzma as well now, if you've started Talonflame and are only able to get 1 Froakie out, they can just Guzma, knock out the Froakie on turn 2. Sometimes there's decks that can do that, things like Booty one-shot, plus like weird combos like Lillie with a DCE plus any form of energy acceleration, or Kukui or anything weird like that. Oh, they can't Kukui, I guess, but yeah, I just don't think Talonflame is particularly good right now. Regarding trainers, the list I'll talk about when we're playing the games did indeed play Timer Ball. It's one that I need to test out more. I think the guaranteed 1 is better than the flipping for 2. Obviously, this card you flip for 2 with each head you search for an evolution Pokemon. And when you get the double heads, it's insane. This weekend I won games from having double heads, but there were times where it was double tails, and it was I had to then sort of N or Sycamore to guarantee getting something, rather than this just being a guaranteed search for a Pokemon, search for an evolution Pokemon, search for a Frogadier or whatever, and evolve it. So I think the guaranteed 1 is usually better, but I do want to try. I am going to try it one time for my own personal testing, just to sort of confirm that. But there are definitely people that will say Timer Ball is good in here. I can see why. Like if you have good coin flips, on the day, it can be insane. Like I say, there were games where I got double heads, and it was nuts. But also, you know, just guaranteeing 1 is sometimes the safer option. Other than that, there's nothing too crazy that you can. I think this is close to an optimal 60 simply because it has to be the optimal 60 because of how inconsistent Greninja is. You have to play these kind of high counts of multiple cards to guarantee getting a game at all. So I don't think there's too much flexibility with the list. The list I played this weekend was for the North American Internationals forfeit I had to do, and it played Energy Lotto. If you want to have a meme, try it. It's not... I much prefer having a higher energy count. I played 4 Energy Lotto and a 9 energy count. I much prefer, after testing this, I much prefer having a higher energy count than risking things with Energy Lotto. But if you want to go for the memes, give it a try. When it works, and it's a lot of fun. But yeah, so we're going to jump into... Hopefully, we're going to actually be able to play some games with this deck. I know, of course, Greninja can be infamous for not always getting full games, but we're going to try and... We're going to play at least 3. Hopefully, all 3 will be indeed full games. But yeah, it's a deck that like I say, I kind of had written off a little bit just because Dive Ball and Level Ball were really integral for the deck. But it turns out the deck can function without them. It's a little bit more awkward. You've had to adapt the list, but it is possible to do so. Looks like we could indeed be up against a Volk here. The Volk coin, and then saw Water, Fire, and Psychic. Even in a matchup like this, you can still just lose to kind of janky hands. We did get 2 Froakie though, which is really good. We want to bench both. Because going into his turn 2, he can do something like Fury Belt plus Attach plus Steam Up to knock out 1. And if he ends us, we don't want him to do that plus N us out of our other Froakie. So we want to have access to the second one. We have the Frogadier, which is really good. Oh, he puts down the Brooklet Hill for us as well, which is even nicer. That means we can search out Staryu ourselves, have Starmie in hand as well. So this is looking like a really good hand. We have the guaranteed Frogadier turn 2. And we're just going to need to N into energy. This is the big issue with the deck now. The deck now runs Ho-OGX, which is... Ooh, plays Judge. Okay, I did not expect that. Volk now plays Ho-OGX, which is a bit of an issue because Phoenix Burn one-shots our breaks, and they can start doing that from turn 2 with Kiawe, and it's not weak to water, so it is awkward. He does indeed get the Field Blower as well to get rid of the Stadium. Oh, that's rough. We haven't seen any tools from him here, so we don't know whether he's Choice Band or Fury Belt. I think I'm gonna take the risk and attach to the active. We're definitely ending here. I think I'm going to take the risk and attach to the active because we can also bubble as well. So we've got a 50% chance to bubble him, plus he needs to find Fury Belt. We do have the Ultra Ball, plus the Evosoda and for next turn, and we have the energy for next turn. So we guarantee turn 2 Water Duplicates, which is really good. We are going to go for the bubble though, see if we can slow him down a little bit, and we do indeed get the heads. Nice. So he's going to need to find a switching card as well if he wants to attack us next turn. like I say, this Ho-Oh can be an issue. But he hasn't Kiao'd, which is nice. And once we get into our breaks, whilst he is one-shotting our breaks with Phoenix Burn, we can actually take the time out to one-shot him if we need to. 190 HP is a choice banded Shadow Stitching plus 2 snipes. So we can still keep the ability lock up whilst knocking him out, which is really, really nice. It's just how quickly he's able to sort of, well, pretty much ramp into that. Does indeed go for the Guzma. But again, as I say, we do have pretty good hand here. Hopefully he doesn't have Fury Belt. Power Heater for 50. So us tanking a hit here is really, really good. It's going to mean that we can Evosoda and attach to the active. And once we've done that, we're then going to be able to bounce this Frogadier back into hand. We do indeed have all 4 frogs in here as well, which is great. Our Vulpix. Okay, let's see what's prized. Got 1 break prized. 1 Ultra Ball prized. 2 Brooklet Hill prized. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 Sycamore prized. And 1 water prized. Okay, our prizes aren't too bad. Pretty much we've got all of our Frogadiers, so that's one of the main things. So yeah, we're going to be able to, attaching this here means we're going to be able to bounce this Frogadier back into the hand and evolve this Froakie next turn. So we are indeed going to have a really, really, really strong turn next turn. I think I want to, do I want to Ultra Ball for Starmie here, Staryu here? No, I think it's better for us to just use this Ultra Ball next turn for a Greninja. So let's just dupe. So step 1, turn 2 water duplicates complete. That's the first piece of the puzzle. We could have even preserved this Froakie if we'd paid with an energy. Switch into this, but it would mean a Greninja having damage on it already rather than this damage kind of, it means he doesn't have to steam up here, but it also means a Greninja would have damage on it later on, and a Greninja with 50 means it can just be volcanic heated even after we're ability locking. So I think it's actually better to give him the prize here to prevent him taking an easy prize on a break later on in the game. Attaches the float. Does have Fury Belt, so he did miss Fury Belt last turn. Has Fury Belt for here as well. That's that is going to be more of an awkward situation. We do have 1 guaranteed Greninja here though, which is nice. There's a break. Unfortunately, that's not what we wanted to see. So we want to evolve this here. I think we just want to attach. Question is, do we want to take the prize or do we want to ability lock? I don't think ability locking is helping us much at all, so I think we're actually better off taking the prize here. Do I want to bench a Froakie? Definitely want to discard 1. It's whether I want to discard this Ultra Ball or not. Discarding the Ultra Ball. Could also go for Vulpix here. It may actually be better to go for Vulpix here. Yeah, let's go for Vulpix. We're going to get a Greninja with this one because we have more outs to finding Vulpix. We have 1 Vulpix plus 3. Actually, no, we don't. It's the same amount of outs. Do we want to go for... Okay, so I think if we're going for a Vulpix, we need to discard both of these Froakies. I think we still want to go for a Greninja here because we want to guarantee... So if we get a Greninja, we have the physical Vulpix plus 3 Ultra Balls plus 3 Brooklet Hills. That's 7 outs. If we go for the Greninja, we have. If we go for the Vulpix, we have still 7 outs. But I think getting the Greninja here is better. Whoops, we don't want to BM him yet. Might not even be BM yet. We could alternatively just pay energy to retreat here, but I think I want to keep the energy whilst we don't have Staryu on board. I don't want to start discarding energy willy-nilly until we have access to Starmie to know that we're going to be able to get those back. Do hit Brooklet Hill and 2 Greninja. Oh, that's so good because it means we can search for 2 breaks here. I think we want to beacon for 2 breaks here because he can't take out 3 Pokemon. So we can beacon for 2 breaks. He can't take out 2 Greninjas, so we're always going to have access to both of our breaks, providing he doesn't N us. Question is, if we Field Blower, if we don't Field Blower, he can get another Volk out. But if he gets another Volk out, I don't think it matters because he's one-shotting us anyway, and we don't need to initiate Stitching Lock yet. If we discard these tools early, he can just reattach them. So I think we want to discard this tool on the turn we want to knock out the Ho-Oh. So I think we hold the Field Blower for now. If he wants to fill his bench with another Volcanion EX, he can't Lillie. And Shadow and him ramping energy isn't ramping damage isn't actually that good for him at the moment. So let's just beacon for 2 breaks and see if we can force an N from him. Because if he can't N, we can get into our breaks and start hopefully dealing some pretty big damage. We don't have a supporter for next turn, which is awkward. Had the Volk anyway, so it didn't matter whether we ditched this or not. Double Steam Up is probably going to mean he's just going to poke us with Volk here. Oh, I did have the N as well. He had a pretty good turn there. Did get a break back. Do have Lillie plus Choice Band. Do have Guzma. If we top deck break here, if we top deck break, it's still not quite what we want. Get another Lillie. So we're gonna Stitching next turn. This turn, we can search for our Staryu. We want to do that before we Lillie. Do we want to Guzma? Is the real question. So if we do 60 plus 40, he's on 130. I think we do want to Guzma here. So I think what we do is we break this one, do 60 here, Guzma it up and go into this one, and Shadow Stitching with a Choice Band, so that puts him at 130. So then we can Shadow Stitching plus break next plus ability next turn to knock it out, or we can just ability plus find Field Blower. So we are going to Shuriken here. How much energy do you have on board? He has 4, 8, 9, 10 energy on board. I would expect like a 14 count maybe. So yeah, then we're going to do this. We'd rather a Greninja go down than a break. Oh, we want to touch the Choice Band. I want to hold the energy rather than attach it for now. So we're just going to Shadow Stitching, put him to 130. Again, as I say, with a Field Blower, that's just a snipe away from knocking him out. Without that, it's just a Shadow Stitching plus snipe. So as long as we find an energy next turn, we have quite a few outs to doing so, and we're drawing at least 4 with Lillie. Guzma's up the Greninja BREAK. Ooh. So now we need to find a break. So now we don't need to find the energy, but we need to find the break. I'll put this one up again in case we get an access to double breaks plus a lot of energy. Drawing energy is not what we wanted to do there. We can attach one to here. Then we can have to Lillie for 4. We do. That's a lot of Lillies. Let's stitch 2 of those Lillies. Nice clumping there. We'll grab ourselves a break. So then we can break for 60 plus Shadow Stitch. Yeah, sweet. And the next time we have the Ultra Ball to find the Starmie to then start getting these energy back. Giant Mortar Shuriken the active. So this was one of the biggest things that we had to deal with here. He has taken 3 prizes. Did get another break, that's really good. Interesting that it promoted Lillie. Attach the Lillie. Didn't attach here. I think attaching here is usually better. It's often more damage. Probably planning on setting up an attack here though. As long as we get a dead card next turn, we can Ultra Ball for the Starmie, evolve to the break, and then Lillie for 6. Seems good. Poking us for 60 is... it's not irrelevant, but it's not hugely relevant either. This isn't a completely dead card, which is annoying. So it means we're going to have a less valuable Lillie. Where do we want our last prizes to come from? We can't Guzma, so I think we should knock this out. Which means we need to hit Choice Band. Okay, so if we Shuriken here, he's got 50 HP left. We need to hit Choice Band. Or we can Moonlight Slash. And then he responds with a Volcanion, which we can just Moonlight Slash for knockout. So I think we're fine. It's just whether I want to use this Staryu, use this Ultra Ball pre-Lillie or post-Lillie. I think I want to use it post-Lillie. So we're just gonna... because if we hit Choice Band here as well... if we don't hit Choice Band, we can bounce this energy back. Maybe it should have gone here, actually. That was probably a misplay. Did hit Choice Band. Did hit Stretcher as well. Don't think Field Blow is relevant. So I think we can just do this. One Greninja, one Frog left in, Froakie left in deck. Okay, so now with a Choice Band, plus 2 Greninjas. Okay, he just concedes. I think we had that game, but it was just interesting the line I wanted to go with it. I don't know whether... I think the only misplay there was maybe attaching just here, this splash. Interesting. Win streak, boys. So yeah, I played the League Cup this weekend that I had to for the forfeit for losing the North American International Championships Fantasy Draft. I had to play a deck with 4 Energy Lotto and 4 Timer Ball. And after some deliberation, I worked out that Greninja was probably the best deck to do that. I fully went into the tournament expecting it to be kind of a write-off, a bit of a waste of a League Cup. This was why I was looking forward to going, because a lot of the UK players were going, and it was going to be good to see them all after Worlds. But I kind of saw it as a bit of a write-off of a League Cup. But it turns out Greninja, when it sets up, even if it does have 8 dead cards, or potentially 6 if you run 2 Timer Ball, if it sets up, it still hits like a truck. It was best of 1, so that like initially put me off even further. But best of 1 means that Greninja doesn't tie games, and that's really good because it always takes a long game 1 unless they concede. So guaranteeing that... Oh, I don't know what we're going to be playing against here. It could be... I think I saw grass. Oh, I'm so scared to go... I'm so scared. I'm so scared. I think this is fine. We don't have another energy, and we have Evosoda, so I don't want to discard this hand. So I think this is what we want to do here. Probably Golisopod Garb. There's a Lillie. There's a Staryu. In case he runs DC, I don't want to attach his energy here because I don't want to be knocked out by DCE. So I think we just hold this hand. But yeah, so it's a really interesting tournament. Round 1 I faced Metagross. He did have DCE. Oh god, we dodged a bullet there. Guzma's up Staryu. We have the Stretcher in hand, so that's okay. Interesting. Yeah, it was a really interesting tournament. Round 1 was Metagross. It wasn't as free as Metagross should be. Metagross isn't a completely free matchup, but it's very, very favoured for you. If you can get into Stitching Lock, it's a really, really good matchup for you. So yeah, it was scary because I missed energy for the first 3-4 turns of the game, so I couldn't water duplicates. So every single Greninja I got was manually evolved from a Froakie, which was really scary, but it turned out okay. Got 1 Brooklet prized, 1 Stretcher prized, 1 Froakie prized, 1 Band prized, 1 Splash prized, 1 Regular Energy prized. Okay. And then he also she also ran the Mimikyu from or what set is it? Is it Guardians Rising maybe? Yeah, I think it's Guardians Rising. What's going on here? Which was again, because she was then able to Shadow Stitch me, it was really awkward. And because I didn't want to get didn't want her to get multiple Shadow Stitchings off on me. It is Golisopod. Oh, this could be scary. Because I didn't want her to get multiple Shadow Stitchings off, I had to then not Shadow Stitch for my turn. I had to bounce the energy back with Moonlight Slash. So it was a really tense, interesting game. For a game that should normally be kind of free for me, it was quite scary. But yeah, no, it was a good game. What else did I play against? I played against... I played against 2 Guardies. I won 1, lost 1, won 1, tied 1. Played against... Playing against Xerneas Break, lost that. That should be a favourable matchup for me, but unfortunately I hit some pretty rough luck in that matchup. I think I'm going to shuffle these in because I think I'm going to need more Frogadiers here. He's going to be able to start one-shotting us really quickly with this Golisopod. So it's like risky because again we didn't hit the Staryu, but I think it's what we need to do. Unfortunately, hitting no more Greninjas is really rough. Do we want to Shadow Stitching here? Do we want a Moonlight Slash here, or do we want to Beacon here? I think we want to Beacon here. Whoops, I think we want to Beacon here. Because we can deal with this Tapu Lele at any point we want. So I think we just want to do this and pray he doesn't have an answer. He doesn't. N isn't his optimal supporter here because he's already down to 4 prizes. And he needs to find Golisopod. Has the energy, has the Ultra Ball for a Lele, I would imagine. So maybe Stitching would have been better there. What else? He had a Guzma in hand. No, he's going for the Golisopod. Okay. Taking a prize here. Can happily send this up because we're giving it free retreat essentially. Hit another Greninja, that's kind of awkward, but hey ho. So he's definitely going to be able to one-shot this break next turn. We have this attached already though, so I think we want to attach this here. We can't evolve into another Greninja break this turn, so we're happy to retreat now and just ditch another card in our hand. I think we want to start hitting this Golisopod here, simply because it's really difficult for us to one-shot it, and he has to leave it in the active exposed next turn. So I think it's fine us not killing the Lele here and just getting a Shadow Stitching off. We can end him, but we don't want to because he's got low hand size, so we are indeed just going to Lillie for 3. Seems kind of mediocre, but we do hit another break for next turn, so we can get double breaks next turn because we're bouncing this whole line back. We have an energy to start breaking, we have Splash to start bouncing. This is very good. We want a Shadow Stitching here in case he drew Lele from the prizes. There's no real benefit too much to us taking 2 prizes here. We can take the 2 prizes whenever we want. Heavy Ball is going to get him a Wimpod, yeah. So he's going to start setting up another Golisopod. Will be interesting whether he retreats or whether he decides to leave this active. Does indeed retreat. Ready to first impression us. He has 150 HP left. So we want to send this one up because this one has the energy, even though we're going to be attaching here anyway. It doesn't matter too much. We do hit the band. That's exactly what I wanted to see because now we can double snipe. And actually no, we didn't even need the band. We did need to find another energy though. So we can double break here. $60 takes him to 120, he has 90 left. We can then Moonlight Slash with a band on. This is a difficult matchup for us. He had a rough start and it's still pretty awkward. We could alternatively leave this alive. If we leave this alive, he has to find DCE. He's used 1. He has taken a few more cards though. If we leave this alive, so what's the best way of leaving this alive? We do 60 plus 70 is 130, 190. We don't even need to do the 70, so we can just Giant Water Shuriken this. Okay, I think this is fine. We can then do 40 with Shadow Stitching. Oh, he could Guzma, he could Acerola though, and still knock us out. Okay, so we should actually knock this out. It is better to knock this out here. Do we want to end him? We know this card is dead. Unless it's a Lillie. Do we want to end him? I think we do want to end him. It's 2-2, so it doesn't matter. But we're gonna get. I want to see if we can find Staryu if possible. Fortunately, we miss it. We do get another energy though, which means we can Shadow Stitching plus Giant Ball Shuriken here. Okay, yeah, this is good. This is good. So we can Giant Ball Shuriken plus Shadow Stitching here to knock him out, to mean that he has no abilities next turn. So he has to waste this. So he needs exactly Golisopod. So he needs to pretty much have a supporter, because he needs Golisopod plus energy in a 3-card hand. So he probably needs a supporter. I am going to search for Staryu here, because we're starting to run through our energy quite quickly. We've gone through 4. And we have Evosoda next turn to be able to search for either Greninja or Starmie. So then we can indeed Shadow Stitching, keeps the energy on, and ability locks in means that Lillie is no longer an out, and Ultra Balls are no longer an out. So we may still be in this game. Energy plus... Oh, I had the Sycamore. Energy plus Golisopod. Makes us sad. Makes us pretty sad. There's a Stretcher, so there's the Golisopod. There's a Wimpod, so he has a Golisopod in hand, probably. He must. Either that or he doesn't have energy in hand. Or he has another Stretcher, that's another good card. Did he miss energy? That's the real question. If he didn't miss energy, we could be in a spot of bother. But if he did miss energy, we could be balling. He hit DCE. That's not the energy he wanted to see. This has gone much better than expected. Yeah, we want to be grabbing Starmie here. We want a Starmie pre. Oh, this Vulpix is not getting us much. 20 cards in deck. So what are we doing with our damage here? We want to be... Have we used Guzma? We haven't used Guzma. So we're going to be doing 40 here, which is 110. So we can knock this out and set this up. Do we want to knock this out though? I think we do, because we don't want him to waste a roller us. I don't think it matters which card we get rid of here. It's probably better to... Do we want to shuffle this in? I don't think so. I think we're actually going to double snipe the bench. We're definitely going to put one snipe on the bench. Do we want to put the second snipe on the bench? If we put the second snipe on the bench, he can ace a roller. But he still doesn't have grass energy. And if he's ace rollering, he's not digging for grass energy. If he ace rollers this... If he ace rollers this, he can dig for grass energy. But he still needs grass energy. 60, so he's on 150. So we can knock this out next turn. So I think we should actually kill the Lillie here. I don't think it's too different, but it could be. That's my pro analysis of the game state right now. Being able to find that Greninja this turn was really good, because it means that we can double break next turn still. Do you want to Ultra Ball anything out of the hand? I don't think so. So I think we're just Shadow Stitching. Force him to find Grass Energy. If he finds Grass Energy, he knocks us out. But we have Guzma. So he needs to N us and get Grass Energy, I think, for us to not have game next turn. Because next turn, if he GXs, he goes to the bench. We can Guzma it up. Plus, use our abilities to... Okay, this is another way of doing it. He did have Acerola. Okay. So I think he needed to N us, so I think we have game. This deck is a bit intricate. Working out exactly when you have game and stuff. But I think he had to N us there. Did he have N? He had N. Okay. I mean, it wasn't an ideal scenario for him to end there anyway, because he needed so much. Does Crossing Cut GX? I think that's fine though, because we can go into this one here. We can Space Beacon away a Lillie for 2 energy. Can evolve. Giant will Shuriken the bench. And then Guzma. And then Giant will Shuriken again. Said well played. We will indeed say well played as well. See, this is the thing with Greninja. This is inherently a bad matchup. But if they miss a turn and we can get set up, it can win its bad matchups. I beat a Vikabulu. That's another deck I played at the weekend. I beat a Vikabulu because he wasn't able to get turn 1 Grass Energy onto a Bulu, so he wasn't able to knock out a Froakie. And it meant that I had 1 extra Frogadier, which meant that I had 1 extra Greninja, which meant I had 1 extra break. And you can just kind of steal the game from there. Plus being able to ability lock them is really, really strong. So yeah, it's a deck that can steal games just from the fact that it sort of is so strong, even against matchups that it's not favoured against. We are rolling with this win streak as well. Getting us some nice EXP shares. I don't think I need these, but hey ho. I believe the EX this month is Virizion, which is an EX I only have 1 of, I believe. Oh, I don't have any Virizion, so I'll be getting myself hopefully 2 of those this month. Or this season. We'll have 1 more game. This is the thing with Greninja. It lost all of these cards. It lost Level Ball. It lost Dive Ball. It lost Repeat Ball. It lost Rough Seas. But they took up space. And now just running more draw supporters to draw into your combo seems to be working just as well. It's definitely interesting. It's not a deck I had much hope for. Like, I was open about that completely. But yeah, maybe it is good enough. I believe this is Adam Hawkins. I don't know whether it is or not. I think his name's London Oshawott. Adam Hawkins is a really good UK player. So we might be seeing... I think I saw... what was it? Fire, Water, Psychic and Colourless. So probably... Volk. I think I want to go Vulpix. Because we're not going first, he has 2 turns to find Fury Belts and energy attachments and stuff, so he's more likely to be able to get the turn 2 knockout. So I think it's better to go... I think if we were going first, I'd probably go Froakie. But even then it may be a mistake. It does indeed have Volk. That's a Ho-Oh. So we're going to be dealing with another Ho-Oh here. Can Brooklet Hill out our own Starmie though? Or Staryu though. Have no energy, which is really awkward. We are going to have to end this hand. I don't want to Sycamore this hand because we lose a Stretcher and two Greninjas. Did go for the same play as the other guy did, and has Kiawe. Okay, this is where things start getting scary because Kiawe means he can Phoenix Burn next turn, provided he finds a Float Stone. And we just have to end. I don't want to discard this hand. We lose too much. We just need to find an energy. We missed energy. So now we want him to knock out this Vulpix. I have to put the second Froakie down just in case he Guzmas. So we want him to either Guzma or knock out the Froakie here. We're actually in a worse position if he doesn't take a prize here. Oh, we can definitely Beacon as well. What do we want to Beacon into? I think we just want to Beacon into this. We could get another Frogadier. Like getting another Frogadier doesn't actually matter because if we got another Frogadier, he'd know. Like, okay, what am I trying to say? We're not getting a Frogadier here. So he knows we have a Frogadier in hand, because otherwise we just get a Frogadier from Beacon. But it doesn't matter if we did fake it and get another Frogadier, because then he still knows we have a Frogadier in hand. So it's actually better to not get another Frogadier here, and risk drawing, and risk having two in hand next turn, so we can't get the full value. What's prized? One water prized, one choice band prized, one Sycamore prized. One N prized, one Brooklet prized, one Break prized. Oh, we've got two N in hand. Maybe the prizes were a mistake. I don't know. I think we've guaranteed 4 of them. How's the float? Lillie for Guzma wouldn't surprise me. There's the Lillie. There's the Fury Belt. See, this is the issue with Volk now, because they run Ho. Goes for the N. Okay, that makes sense. It's probably better than the Guzma actually. We didn't have energy in hand, so it's annoying, but it's okay. Oh, Stretcher going again is going to be sad. Sacred Fire means he can still Phoenix Burn next turn. This is going to be a bit more of an awkward Volk matchup. Oh, do we want to end? It's a risk, but like this probably won't get value if we use it now. We lose a Break plus a Stretcher, and I think we have one Stretcher prized. So I think we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We have 10 outs. We have 10 outs. A 48 card deck. 10 out of 48. 5 out of 24. Ooh. 25%. Just under. I don't see how we can win the game if we lose Stretcher plus a Break this early though. Plus a Band. Oh no. Oh no. I took a risk and it didn't work out too well. Oh dear, oh dear. Oh dear, oh dear. Very good. Oh, now we can Sacred Fire again, which means he doesn't have to Phoenix Burn, which means he's still taking 3 prizes. This hasn't gone down well. Don't want to bench this Froakie because if we do hit Frogadier, we want all three spaces open. We did hit a Frogadier. I'm going to keep the Lillie in hand because in case we draw anything awkward that we don't want to Sycamore next turn. So next turn he can still Steam Up plus Sacred Fire. I mean, he can just hold Phoenix Burn until we hit our breaks. This may be... We may be too far behind now. Interesting. Yep, there's a Steam Up. Wonder tagging. Probably for a Sycamore, maybe a Guzma. Sycamore seems good. 2 Brooklets and an N. Hasn't gone as well as planned. I think that's 3 energy gone. 3. Oh, it's 2 actually. Oh, I'm gonna sneeze. Okay, we're good. I mean, we're not good. Look at this board state, but. Do we want to risk it and go for the splash? Our outs getting splash are so low, I think we should just guarantee it. We can Lillie next turn. I think we want to guarantee another... I could get the Starmie here, but I think I want to guarantee another Greninja next turn to try and get a Greninja break. I also think I have to Moonlight Slash here to try and keep up. I think the only turn we need to... I think the only turn we need to we need to Shadow Stitching is when we knock out this Ho-Oh. So we need to knock it out with a Shadow Stitching. $80, we'll leave it with $150. Still awkward numbers. Still very awkward numbers. Alternatively, if we can find Field Blower, 60 plus 40, so we need Field Blower plus... Ooh. This is... see, this is what Volt can do now. This card here actually really swings the matchup. Especially in combination with this card here. N. That's not an N. does Guzma do? He has 8 energy on board. 9, 10. So he's still got 4 energy plus 2 Guzma plus probably 2 Floatstone. So that's 8 outs. Okay. N was the main thing I wanted to hit there, so we have N for next turn. Oh, I didn't hit Choice Band though, didn't hit Field Blower though. Not Field. Yeah, no, wait. Didn't hit Choice Band. Didn't hit Break. Needed Choice Band or Break. Ooh. Does ability locking him matter here? I don't think so. I want to put 160 on him rather than 120 because if he Field Blowers off his Floatstone plus attaches a Fury Belt, it means that we can still one-shot him with a ping. I think we're too far behind, unfortunately. This is going to be doing 90 damage at the moment. Does go for the Phoenix Burn. Good, good. Okay. I think we have to wait to Rescue Stretcher later on in the game. Splash is no different to water right now, so doesn't matter. We need to kill this turn and Shadow Stitching. So we need to kill it this turn and Shadow Stitching. We need 1 break, Choice Band, Field Blower, or 2 breaks, Choice Band. Even then, he's still Guzma away, but to be fair, it doesn't matter. 2 breaks plus Choice Band. We have the energy. We just need 2 breaks plus Choice Band. That's 0 of those cards. That's very sad. Very sad indeed. Ooh. So you can just retreat and knock us out next turn, right? We have no breaks in the discard. Damn. Oh, that's unfortunate. Okay, so that's what we were saying, and that's what I was saying earlier on about Ho-Oh and Kiawe and stuff. That's how they try and win that game. But yeah, interesting couple of games there. We saw the ideal Volk and then the less ideal Volk. And then had a good game against Golisopod Garb. But yeah, hopefully you've enjoyed the video. Make sure you let us know down in the comments below whether you'd make any changes, why maybe certain cards weren't included, things like that. We want it all down in the comments. We love chatting Pokemon, so just let us know. There will be hopefully either daily or bi-daily deck analysis videos from me and Joe over the next few weeks leading up to Bremen Regionals, which is the next tournament we're both going to be at. So if you're going to Bremen as well, make sure you say hello. But yeah, thank you very much for watching. Hopefully you've enjoyed some gameplay with the Frog Prince himself. Let us know what you change, whether we're definitely omitting a card or anything like that. We want it all down in the comments below. Other than that, thank you very much for watching. I've been Jack from OmniPoke, and I look forward to seeing you guys in another video.